Hello, welcome to the Securosys Firestarter. This is Rich Mogul. Joining me today is only Mike Rothman.
It's only me, Adrian. We finally got rid of him. Did you get that bag of lie that I asked you to take care of?
It's with the plastic sheeting.
Okay, all right, good.
I know
Good.
this is what he gets for hogging the webcast all the time. He never shuts up, that guy. You know, man.
It's true.
Can't keep his
It's
mouth
true. So, in case any of you are thinking you want to join Securosys, if you hog up the video cast, the time in the video cast, you have a bag of lie and plastic sheeting in your future.
No, man, we live. It's like Phoenix. We just go out into the desert. Things are so dry out here.
True.
You don't really need to worry about it. It's more like having a jackhammer to
get through the sand.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. When our cat died and it was August, and I had to dig that hole in the backyard, that was yeah. It was like anyway. Probably wow. We're off to a great start.
Yeah, you can leave it for the coyotes, I guess, right? Isn't that a thing?
So why don't we get right into it this time? Speaking of dead things, you got one of those. You got the red cup.
I got the red cup. I am a blasphemous heretic. I'm a blasphemous heretic.
Explain this fundamentally to me, because I really I skim over all that garbage on social media and in the news. People were really like, how is that not anti-Christmas?
I don't know. Because you walk into Starbucks, which I do every day. You walk into Starbucks and they have Christmas blend. They have, all sorts of designs on the banners and all that kind of stuff. And I get the red cup and I'm like, oh, cool. It's a red cup. Normally it's a white cup, so it's a red cup. It's a little different. I'm excited. It's a little different. And then and then my Facebook is blown up because, the red is offensive and Starbucks hates Christmas and they're heathens. And, Howard Schultz is just a bad human because the cup is red. And by the way, then they did a retrospective of the last few years of cups. And there were some designs, but they were largely all red. They haven't had really Christmas tree looking things probably for 4 or 5 years. And then you get, some folks are mocking up blue cups and then cups with menorahs and then Satan cups. And I mean, so you get everybody, kind of coming out of the woodwork with just, total nonsense. And then you think about some of the intractable problems that we have in the world, these political debates that we're seeing now, and the fact that these people could be the leaders of our country moving forward, yet folks are fired up about red cups. So I just wanted to poke fun at that a little bit because I'm as perplexed as you are, man. I don't have any idea what the deal is.
Admittedly, we were both raised Jewish and aren't religious at all, but hey. But I don't know what it's amazing that people are actually running out of things to be angry about. So that's what they pick.
Yeah. Oh, I have lots of things to be angry about, but I choose to sit in half lotus and meditate for long periods of time to deal with that. That's what I do.
Okay. I thought you drank. That's what I do.
Yeah, I may do that once or twice too.
What's our chances of political office? Actually, after these guys, anything goes.
It's true.
All right. So thinking about things to be outraged out. I heard that we're having some issues with China that is negatively affecting the security industry.
It's true. So I don't know. So obviously there are a whole number of companies that have gone public, cyber all the things. So you have lots of companies going public that are security companies. The business has been great. Kind of the stocks have been going great. Now we're in earnings season. And of course, our friends at FireEye announced their quarter, which was, a little bit light. I mean, it's still significant growth, made a lot of progress on the cash flow front, but not growth to the degree that they had managed expectations. So, of course, in investing parlance, that's a miss. So when you miss, you have to come up with some reason why you miss. And one of the initial reasons that FireEye presented for why they missed was the fact that there hasn't been enough or as much high profile hacking from the Chinese. And that is impacting customers' willingness and urgency to invest in cyber security technologies. So we're at the point now where because the Chinese are not doing enough, and it obviously just put favorite adversary into that line and play Mad Libs with it. Because the Chinese are not hacking enough, these companies are starting to miss their numbers. So if you can send letters, if you're an investor, you could send letters to the Chinese consulate or something and ask them to hack more. Even though we just announced this big deal with the between the Chinese and the Americans that we weren't going to hack each other anymore, because we have to keep the economy running, right? And we have to keep the economy running, so we have to have our stock benefits, and because we have to have our stock benefits, that means we really want to see more Chinese hacking as opposed to less. What world is this?
I lost you. I
What
lost you on
world
that
is
one.
this? What
Yeah.
world is this
So
where you can blame, I thought that was the goal. The goal was to increase the cost of attacking to a degree that you were really deterring the attackers, right? That they wouldn't be attacking as much because it costs more, because we're doing better at detection. We're doing better at potentially preventing their stuff. That's what we're supposed to be doing.
yeah, so a security vendor just admitted for the first time that they did their job too well, and as a result, they were suffering the financial consequences. All right, look, this is a load of. I mean,
Right. And then what you do, so evidently, since blaming China isn't really going to work long term, you can just blame Europe. Right. So, they also announced the fact that they had some sales execution problems in Europe. So, it's certainly anywhere but here. And I think that's kind of the big theme that we wanted to talk about today, is that this is really a microcosm of what is really a macro situation, which is nobody wants to accept any accountability for what they're doing.
yeah,
Right.
look, I wrote an article about this. So The Economist, this is my favorite one. They served up malware to anybody visiting their site who used Windows. Now, wait for it. Now, what is one of the biggest ways that we worry about now? Malware gets distributed to publications like The Economist, advertising-based publishers. What? It's the ad networks. I'm like, all right, Economist, their ad network got hacked. No, it didn't. It was the vendor that provides the technology. So if you visit The Economist with an ad blocker, they still figure out how to give you ads. And so it's an anti-ad blocker technology that then installed malware, which, by the way, a lot of us have ad blockers because we don't like tracking and we worry about malware getting installed by ad networks. So The Economist had that thing in place and then went ahead and infected everybody. Anybody with certain versions of Windows who download whatever, there's the whole pathway to go through it. So they issue their semi mea culpa, but they didn't issue mea culpa. They said, one of our vendors got hacked, and because of that, we infected all of you. So this is the I didn't give you syphilis.
Yeah. I was just going to go there. Blame that guy. Past. Blame that guy. It's the Trojan man's fault that you have 10 kids now. Trojan man.
Yeah. I didn't give you syphilis. I had
my ad vendor.
With somebody in the past,
my anti-ad vendor did.
Somebody gave me syphilis, which then, unfortunately, you contracted through some kind of relationship, but it's still not my fault.
Although, if you actually want to really decompose this whole idea of a web page actually allows you to be with someone else's equipment, right? Because you could you're not using your technology. It's somebody else's ad blocker that's in there. So you're basically renting some equipment in order to take care of business. So that actually is kind of a legitimate excuse. It wasn't my equipment. It wasn't my equipment. It was their equipment.
I bought a used condom. I was trying to save a little money. I didn't know what was in there before.
It's their equipment.
Oh, Jesus. We're getting kicked off the internet.
We are.
Yeah, we're professional.
That one. Okay, here's the line. We may have gone across the line.
But for once, we did it with no profanity.
It's true. That's a first, which means they can't even put the explicit tag on it. Well, it's explicit motive. Does explicit motive count on that? So,
All
but
right.
back to the point. Aside from whose equipment you're using, the fact of the matter still becomes. But we've seen the same thing with every major breach, right? Every major breach, they have some high profile executive, Kevin Mandia, get up and do a whole bunch of press announcements that say, "Oh, this was very sophisticated malware. Nobody could possibly have stopped this. We've never seen this before. It's so sophisticated. We've never seen this before." Right? Which again is just another way of saying, not my fault.
Yep.
Right? Not my fault. Attackers are better than me. Not my fault. No accountability. I'll pay some dude lots of money to talk to my board and say, my CIO is not a knucklehead, my CISO is not a knucklehead, my operations people, aren't knuckleheads. It was really very sophisticated malware.
Well, or OPM. I have my letter sitting on my desk because I got that notification. We talked about that. I blogged about it multiple times, and it was not once is there contrition in there. Not once is there. What was said was this the person who wrote it, and I'm not going to name it most because I can't remember and it's not my chain of command, but it was along the lines of, oh, I feel very sorry because this affected me as much as it affected you. Yeah, okay. Well, that is true, but it's just like just take some
Yeah,
responsibility.
that's right.
Like, take some accountability for the actions that happen. Mistakes happen. You're going to get hacked. You're going to make security errors. You're going to miss a quarter. I got hacked. I posted it up on the blog. It was my fault. These were the mistakes I made. This is what I did right. This is what I did wrong. Now, I admit you're not supposed to be able to get away with that. Yet, if you look at crisis communications, the ones that are typically many seen as the most successful, like the whole Tylenol thing, they took responsibility right away
Day
for
one.
that. Now you look at Volkswagen or GE, they're screwed
Yeah,
because of the things that happen, or the airbag guys, or the Fukushima, or anytime you don't take responsibility, it always makes these things worse.
the cover up is always much worse than what it was that you did. That's
Nobody
always the case.
on the face of the
Deflate gate.
planet, yeah, yeah. I mean, nobody on the face of the planet, probably believes that that reduced hacking from one particular nation
Right.
led to somebody missing a quarter. That's not how quarters work. Okay, that was pipeline from 6 months ago, or if not a year ago. Nobody believes for a moment that the economist, wasn't responsible, and then the instructions they gave actually were incorrect in terms of how to respond.
That's it. Right.
I am credit because somebody there tried to do the right thing in terms of how they worded stuff. They just really didn't. They advise you to change your passwords and then run your malware scanner, which I didn't even pick up right away. Somebody else did on Twitter and passed on me. That's just a huge mistake.
Yep.
Never took responsibility. It's just, and I know the lawyers tell them not to. That's what it is in a lot of cases. But anyway, it's a huge problem because we're the guys that are supposed to be responsible.
Blame the lawyers.
Yeah.
No
And look,
accountability. There it is again.
this isn't just our industry. I mean, you look
That's
at
absolutely.
the university protests because of the you know anyway. I mean, there's just everywhere through society nobody wants to take responsibility. I don't know. I try to take responsibility for my screw ups, and I have a lot of screw ups.
Hell yeah. I mean, that's one of the things I talk about with all of our clients. It's like, if it can be screwed up, I've probably done it twice. That may scare you, right? You may choose not to work with us because we're so upfront about the number of things that we've screwed up through the years. Or that could give you some comfort because maybe you could learn something from the things that we have maybe not done as well as we could have. A different way of looking at the world. Again, not going to judge it one way or the other, but we just, as we were toying around with what we were going to talk about today, this whole thing of one data point after another, getting back to the same issue, which is, nobody wants to say I totally screwed up and I need to be accountable for it because, everybody's too busy covering their own behind, trying to make sure we don't get that explicit tag.
Yeah, and sometimes people do get it right, and we probably need to finish up. Like I use 1Password like you do on these things. They got accused, multiple times. Things have come out about weaknesses in their product. Every time they've stood up and they've said, "Yep," and that was the design decision we made. And turns out we don't think that is anymore the right design decision. So here's what we're going to do and fix it.
Yep.
Yet this week, Apple accidentally forgets to renew a certificate. I call that a "you had one job" moment. And as a result, all sorts of apps ops break. I just had to reboot my computer, a
Yeah.
little while ago
We
today.
suck. We suck at ops. I just don't even know how to even, and people go, oh, how can you say that? You don't have any operations clients. I go, no, I have plenty of operations clients. And I'll tell them right to their face, we suck at ops. We just consistently suck at doing operations well. Everybody does. It's not just security people. It's not network people. It's not sysadmins. I mean, it's up and down the stack. We just suck at ops.
Yeah, some of the stuff's hard too.
Yeah.
All right, so the end conclusion: take responsibility or blame
Please.
China,
Yeah.
and maybe there's something between the two, and maybe that involves devices and all sorts of other things.
And when in doubt, use somebody else's equipment for plausible deniability.
Neither one of us have had a drop uh, of any foreign substance in our bodies today beyond coffee, and this is where we end up. So that's
And
what you
by
have
the
to.
way, that's why Adrian cannot end up in a bag of lie, because we need him
Yeah.
clearly to run, to keep sanity around here. So
Yeah.
Adrian, please come back, man. Come back.
Yeah, hurry up. This is what happens when it's just us. All right, everybody have a great well you have a great week. This will probably go out on Monday or Tuesday after we get it back from video editing, but it is Friday here and it's Friday afternoon, so that's might be why things are the way they are right now. And with that, we'll talk to you all later, and be responsible or accountable or both.